Hello and welcome to the BU podcast. My name is Jess and I am here with
Riley.
Excellent. And introduce yourself, tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, so I'm Riley. I'm a third year psychology student. My pronouns are she, they. And yeah, I'm just excited to be here.
Exciting, yeah.
Good vibes.
Yeah, this is your first time doing a podcast with us.
Debut.
It is.
Yeah.
And you're very excited to have you as a co-host. It's going to be
Stop
fun.
it, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. So we've got two wonderful guests with us today. So I'm going to point at you and you can introduce yourself, tell us who you are and what course you're on. Go.
Absolutely hate pointing.
Sorry.
So my name's Jack. I'm currently a third year esports student and my preferred pronouns are he, him.
Excellent.
I'm Misha. I am a third year on musical theatre and my preferred pronouns are she, her.
Excellent. I didn't do my preferred pronouns. She, her as well. Marvellous.
Lovely.
Excellent. We all know each other very, very well now. So the topic of today's podcast is being a person of colour at university. Jack, would you like to tell us kind of your background and like where you've come from and all of that?
Are you sure? That's quite a long one.
That's okay. We've got time.
Yeah, so essentially, basically, I'm from the West Midlands, Shropshire, if people know that, but I was actually born in China, and then from Luoyang city in the Henan province.
Cool.
And then from when I was 20 months old, 20 months old.
20 months years old.
When I was 20 months years old,
Yeah, roll with
I was adopted and brought to the UK, and
Very
I've
cool.
lived here ever since.
Nice. Excellent. And Misha?
Well, I'm an international student, so I was born in the Philippines, and I'm officially mixed Spanish-Filipino. There's probably some other lineage that my parents are like, I'm pretty sure you're this, but I'm not really sure of our family history because I have a massive, massive family. So I've lived in the Philippines for most of my life up until I turned 18. Then I moved here in the UK just to study here.
Exciting.
Cool.
So why did you choose to study in the UK?
It was mainly sort of, I always wanted to go into musical theatre, and unfortunately, the educational part of like the training and stuff back home in the Philippines isn't as strong, and I wouldn't have that many opportunities to sort of like train myself unless I went abroad. So
Yeah.
I came here.
Oh, excellent. And did being a person of colour impact what university you wanted to go to, or was it any other choices?
Not necessarily. It's not like one of my like checklists that like it has to be super like as long as people are nice and it's a friendly community,
Yeah.
that's all I care about. I mean, obviously it's nice to have other people, from at least around you, so it still kind of feels like home
Yeah.
in a way, because like I went to an international school, so I already was filled with people from all around the world, so
Oh, that's really cool.
it wouldn't have changed coming here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. Okay, big question. Are we nice?
Yes. Yes.
That's the
Good.
correct
Good.
answer.
Yes.
Thank you. We don't have to end the podcast here. Good. We can continue. Jack, I'll ask you. Has being a person of colour impacted your experience at university or living in the local area?
Kind of like yes and no. Like, for a lot of the part, like this community has been really welcoming to the point where a lot of the time I don't really think about it too much, but at the same time, it's still like a part of who I am, and it's definitely something that's brought up on occasion, like especially during and like post-pandemic times, like being an Asian in like a very white majority country has been quite an interesting experience to say the least.
I bet. Riley, do you want to ask the next question? Jump in.
Yeah, of course. So, Misha, this one's directed for you. Have you noticed any cultural differences from living between the UK and the Philippines? I'm sure there's many, but is there any that stick out to you?
Yeah, I guess culturally there's a lot of things. This is not like a diss to the Philippines or whatever, it's just like how we do. There's like, both countries are very like welcoming and serving and everyone's very happy, but it's like a very much different happy. Like I've never spoken to like a stranger in like the train at all before until here. And it's like not creepy at all. It's just like, everyone here is just very friendly. And I'm like, I've never experienced this before. I was sort of like, I do want to get to know you a bit. Like, I find it so intriguing that everyone's just like, I do kind of care how your day is going. And then you just have a conversation from that and you just meet interesting people around. I think that's the main cultural difference, that it's like as a lot of people say, it's a melting pot here in the UK. You meet people from different like places of the world, but also just different cultures within different counties in the UK.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to just sort of be thrown into a more further melting pot.
Oh, that's cool.
People.
It's a good strapline for the UK. We kind of care.
Kind of care.
At the very least, you can have a nice
Yeah,
conversation.
Yeah, you sometimes get the
Come join the
people,
melting
but
pot.
Yeah, we kind of care. Just a little bit. And, well, you can both answer it, but Jack, we'll start with you. What positive experiences have you had at university, and do you feel accepted in the university community?
It's kind of a good and bad sign that when you say positive experiences, the first thing I can think of is like all the nights at Sheik's.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
like
is a
especially
positive experience. That's
yeah,
the
like
only reason to go to university, right?
yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Especially
good,
during like first year, me and everyone else that was on my floor. So I was in Longbrook sharing the same floor with like 15 other different people, and literally all of us would just go out, have a night out at Sheik's, and then come back completely hammered.
Yeah.
But it was great fun, ready for the fire alarm test the next morning.
Oh, no.
It was great.
Intense.
Always wake up Wednesday 9 a.m.
Oh,
It's good.
fond memories,
Yeah.
right, from all of us. Oh, so good. And yeah, do you feel accepted in the university community?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like a lot more than back home, because back home for me is like a very white dominant area. There's like rarely any like Asian or Chinese people around.
Really?
So coming here, like literally, I've had more Asian friends that I have than previously ever in my life. So
Oh,
that's
that's pretty cool.
yeah, it's a really nice change
Yeah.
of pace. And so from that, like seeing like not only more people that look like me, but just having people that are more like accepting of who I am, it's been very nice. But yeah, at the same time, it's still kind of like same as usual. There's still the odd microaggression and comment here and there, but that's just something I've learned to deal with over the years.
Yeah, how do you deal with it? Do you address it, or do you say that's not okay?
For me personally, it's just like either like ignoring it and then repressing it.
Oh no.
The perfect way to do it.
No.
No, sometimes I will speak up for myself, but only when like I have the energy to do so, because
Yeah.
it can be so draining sometimes trying to like just support yourself when no one else will. So
Do you feel like your friends would support you as well if you did call things out?
yeah, yeah, definitely. It varies from case to case. Like especially say if you're on the topic of white privilege, a lot of them will get a bit defensive immediately after you say that, but for the most part they are like really supportive. And I know like if something happened like at Sheik's or anywhere else, then you know I'd know they'll back me up.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good. Yeah. You picked the right friends. Well done.
Yeah, of course.
Support
Yeah.
system.
Excellent. And Misha, same question to you. What positive experiences have you had at uni, and do you feel accepted by the community?
Positive experiences. Well, I've met a lot of people, I think is the main thing. Like, despite this uni being comparatively small to a lot of other unis, you still get to meet so many different people,
Yeah.
and just to see a friendly face, being
Yeah.
like, I know you from like this one night, but you were really cool.
Yeah.
And that's something that I like. Like, I like a small family feeling community,
It is.
and that's what I really like. And then joining like societies and shows, like on my performing degree,
Yeah.
and doing that, and like getting to work with a lot of people and making friends from that. That's
Yeah.
definitely an experience that I will treasure for the rest of my life. For
Oh,
sure.
that's awesome. What societies are you in?
MT Sock,
Yes.
and I do a cappella as well.
Very
Oh,
cool.
cool.
That's very
Didn't hear any
exciting.
mention of Esports Society.
Oh, Jack, do you want to talk about the esports society?
Sure, I could talk about the Esports Society. So completely unbiased, or whatever, but I just happen to run the Esports Society.
No way.
Yeah, and from that we have like a casual and competitive side. So the casual side, we like currently it's every Thursday evening we just get together, play a couple of games, have a bit of fun. And then more the competitive side, say like tonight, after we record this, I'm gonna rush on home and then play the game called League of Legends. But you can also do it for the other ones like Valorant or CS:GO, or even like Tekken or Street Fighter. And then from that you compete against other people from different universities.
Very cool.
That's very cool.
Short
Very
rundown of
There'll
it
be a
all.
crossover between a cappella and esports soon.
Hopefully
could
be.
There's always someone.
This is the place to work it out, right?
Yeah.
We can do
Yeah,
that.
of course.
Perfect.
Cool.
Coming for you.
Rest of events, let's work it out. Sorted. What are the main things that listeners need to learn about being a person of colour in university? Either of you?
Do you want to start?
Sure.
Yeah,
I'll
Or
start.
should I?
I think is a lot of people that I've met here. A lot of them feel kind of scared to like ask about your culture because there's obviously a fine line of when it becomes like stereotypical and you're asking something that like is definitely not should be asked, or just everyone's genuinely just curious of like,
Yeah.
I don't know, because a lot of people are just like, there's a stereotype that they show in like media or like in the newspaper. I'm like,
Yeah.
but what is it really like? And like, I don't mind, like, ask me questions. Like, if people being like, oh, what's it like, you know, your everyday life when it comes to like how supermarkets run, to how bad's the traffic? Very bad, by the way.
Is it?
Horrendous traffic. in
That was the next
Philippines.
question on the list, actually.
Yeah,
is how
what's the
bad is
traffic?
Traffic. Horrendous traffic. But yeah, I feel like people should not be, you know, it's not taboo to just ask a question about your culture. It also just clears, you know, speculations in their head of like, I view it a certain way, but it's probably not how it is in my head.
Yeah.
It's better to just ask someone from there. Like, do not be shy to ask.
Yeah, definitely. Because I feel like I would probably be quite scared to ask in fear of asking the wrong question unintentionally.
Yeah.
But hey, that's good to know. Jack, do you feel the same or anything to
Yeah,
add?
mostly like reiterating what you said. Like, I think it's important to be like open to learning new things, being like having that mindset of being like, okay, this is what my preconceived notion or thoughts about this certain culture or country is. Now let's actually learn about it. Like, I've had a bit of a complicated relationship with cultural identity, like as a Chinese adoptee, but essentially it's just like going out and looking at like not only experiencing or respecting, but like celebrating that culture. So, like, say for example, like with China, there you get all these news stories. The main ones are always about politics and like, what's China doing sketchy now or whatever. But really, when you go there, or just like even Chinatown, if you get the opportunity, you can kind of see that it's a lot different from how I don't want to say mainstream media because it's getting better now, but just like how the kind of news presents China and how it actually is.
Yeah, definitely. So do you find that you get to do any kind of celebrations from your Chinese heritage, or not really, or?
I celebrate on my own, but I think this year, especially since my role in the SU as Ethnic Minorities Officer, we might change a few things around. You know, got
Yeah.
Lunar New Year coming around, so it might be some
Okay.
plans in the works.
Hey, that's the role. Anyway, Riley, you can ask some questions. Jump in.
Yeah,
Feel
sure.
free.
So you just mentioned that you're the Ethnic Minorities Officer for the SU. So do you want to talk to us a bit about what your role entails and what you're changing at the moment and what you'd like to change within the uni?
Yeah, so I think to simply sum it up, a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of going to meetings, talking it through with like the higher ups, but essentially what I'm looking to change is like three main things. One of them being like streamlining the main bursary, because that at the moment is in a kind of like it's kind of in limbo right now, so I want to try and streamline that. Another thing is the anonymous reporting system. I've worked with some of the staff here to kind of improve that from what it was to what it is now, and it's making progress and definitely something that people can use, especially with the rise in all these horrible things that are going on right now. And then lastly, it's something that I've been trying to do like university-wide, but we're starting kind of like in my own friendship groups and who I talk to, but it's kind of creating safe spaces to discuss these kind of like difficult topics for like especially since some people are not too scared, but like too hesitant to actually talk about it. So even like more recently, I was actually talking to some friends online, and they were using if you don't know it, the C word for Chinese. They were using that word, and I've managed to get them into a spot where I can like discuss it, like how that word for me has been used as like a derogatory term for all of my life. So just them saying it kind of induces a like horrible gut reaction of just like, no, this is wrong. We shouldn't really be listening to this. So after like having it was a brief talk through, I didn't even need to explain it properly. They were just like, yeah, we understand,
Oh, that's
won't
good.
use it again. So it's just doing that, but university wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
That's a really cool thing. I love it.
Yeah.
So you have already mentioned, Jack, that you are a Chinese adoptee. And are you happy to tell us a little bit more about it and your experience and how you found it and how you found like growing up in the UK?
Yeah, sure. Where to begin? I have all these notes just around that.
That's okay. Tell us. We don't know.
So to start off with, for those who can't remember or don't know from geography, it all kind of heightened with when China implemented the one-child policy that came in 1980 and lasted all the way up to 2015.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know it was that long.
Yeah, so that's over 30 years of when China basically said, as a family, you are only allowed one child. And obviously, you know, you can't really control the process sometimes,
No.
but it kind of spiraled into a lot of abandonment, a lot of children being left on streets, and in severe cases there were forced abortions, forced sterilizations, that kind of stuff. And so from that kind of thing, I was left just outside a nice fancy hotel, so somewhere popular where people could see me. And from that, I was taken to an orphanage, stayed there, as I said, for 20 months, and then from there I was brought over to the UK. So a lot of adoption is, like, for me, is to do with my identity, because growing up in the UK for all of my life, there's very little connection to my birth culture.
Yeah.
And so growing up, there was a lot of questions of just like, am I English? Am I Chinese? And it took me a very long time to kind of figure myself out and realize I can just be both.
Yeah.
I can take both parts of it. So yeah, like nowadays it's just accepting both parts. I've recently joined the Chinese adoptee community, and
Very cool.
like from that it's done so much good for me. So we like get together, meet up every month, twice a month sometimes, and then it's just like nice being around people that are in the exact same, well, have been in the exact same situation as me, so I don't need to go pouring out explaining about adoption or that. I can just be
I
like,
get it.
They just get
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah,
We
Yeah.
actually grow, it's fine.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. It's so interesting to hear as well, because obviously I was not adopted. And it's nice that you know the background as well, and you know what happened when you were a baby, and that you are, I don't know, I don't really know if I'm making any sense.
yeah.
I just think it's
Yeah,
nice that you were told. And how
Yeah,
did you
it's-
find out? Did somebody...
Well, unfortunately, because it's what's called a transracial adoption, but you know, my parents are white, I'm not,
Yeah.
so it's not something they can just slide under the table. But
like, what? I'm adopted?
yeah,
No
I
way.
still appreciate that there was like full transparency behind it. Like
That's
they
good.
never
That's good.
sugarcoated anything; they just
No.
said it out how it was.
Yeah.
I forgot where I was going with that. Damn.
That's all right. It's all good. So
I mean, to segue, like for me, self-identity was a very big thing. But what about for you? Like being mixed race, is that the kind of same sort of line, or is it like a bit different? Would you say?
I mean, like, it's a bit different for sure. Like growing up, but also like in an international like community, I unfortunately had this sort of like complex where like I would force myself to say I'm Spanish more than I'm Filipino. I don't know if it's just because of the community that I grew up with, or the people that I was around, or just who I was seeing every day, that I wanted to push the sort of I'm not like everyone else in the country for some reason. And it took me a long time to realize that I shouldn't do that. Like, I live in the Philippines and I shouldn't hide away from everyone. And I should be more involved with everyone, because, like, it's who I am. And it took me a while, and I think to sort of understand that, like, I shouldn't shy away from that. And sort of my parents, because I lived in Singapore for 3 years as a kid as well, so I think that also sort of took away from, like, that's even a more international like, community. So that definitely, I think, sort of was ingrained in me, and it took me until I was in my late teens before I graduated high school to be like, I shouldn't shy away from that. Like, everyone around me here is so cool. And like, despite, it's not the greatest country in the world. We have so many problems and there's things that like upset me every day that being like, but I am now invested being like, I want to help change that. Despite me being here doesn't mean I don't care about the Philippines anymore.
Oh, yeah,
I
absolutely.
still care about the country and I still want to help them grow. And, because I want everyone else to, see the brighter side of it. So
Yeah.
I think it's difficult in terms of now I'm more like I am both. Like
Yeah.
I'm more accepting of like I did come from the Philippines and it's something that I'm proud of. But it is you have the tendency because everyone else is like, oh, being white is easier. So push that more.
Oh,
You
No,
know.
no.
But like that's not the case. Be proud of who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no shame in that.
yeah, absolutely. No matter what you are, be proud of who you are. Yeah, it's great.
That's nice.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is kind of a chance for both of you, either of you, if there's anything else that you want to add or anything else that you feel like people should know, like what it's like being a person of colour, not just at university, but just in general. If you have anything extra to add, feel free. Now's the
think-
time.
It's important to note, especially fairly recently, that at the end of the day, we may not look like you, but we are people.
Yeah.
Like, since the pandemic started, there's been a horrible rise in not only like xenophobia, but rise in anti-Asian hate crime. You didn't even need to be Chinese. Like, if you looked close enough to it, you were targeted. I think the stat that gets thrown around quite a lot is increase of 300%
Wow.
in anti-Asian hate crime.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, for full transparency, that's a comparison between just the month January 2020 and January 2019, but that's still a drastically
That's obscene.
Yeah.
It's
a high
huge.
increase.
Yeah.
And then, especially recently, towards the end of September, there was another rise in hate crime, a lot of physical attacks, not only just in public in general, but also on university grounds. Thankfully, not here, so I'm really thankful of that. But there were cases in like Cambridge, Sheffield, and Edinburgh all around the same kind of time when that happened. So I think it's really just me wanted to put out there, just like, yeah, we may look like, well, for me at least, like I am Chinese, I look Chinese, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I am the cause of the whole pandemic. I'm not the
You're not
problem you
patient
want.
zero.
I'm not the problem you're trying to like put it on. It's just like trying to figure out how to say it, but it's like I am still a person at the end of the day. Like I still have feelings. I also have my own opinions. I still have my own worries about the pandemic and the virus and all that kind of jazz. And so don't really judge someone just because they may look Chinese.
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely.
So, Misha, do you have any topics that you wanted to chat about or anything else that you wanted to add at all?
I think I just want to add to what Jack is. Again, we're all human beings. Like I know it's quite easy for people to generalize if one thing causes one thing.
Yeah.
The brain naturally it's just like, well, then everyone. But then we have to train ourselves and our brain to be like, well, no, that's not the case. Just because this one person from a certain race did this one thing doesn't mean the rest of them do the same thing, right? It's just common sense. And it's something that as a society we are slowly starting to, get out of that mindset,
Yeah.
which is a great thing, At the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all want to do the same thing as you do, and we all just want to live our lives, and then we won't bother you.
And it's not like white people are perfect, is it?
Yeah.
No.
No.
No,
No,
no.
no.
But yeah, cool. Now all the questions are directed on you because Jack
Okay.
is too busy for us. What advice would you give to somebody who is a person of colour applying to Chichester?
Ooh, well, don't be scared if you're just like, I'm going to be like the only one there. We're here. We're friendly. We will help you through this. I know it's,
Absolutely.
it's jarring to come through. Yes, it is majority white, but we are here, It does feel like a small home community. Having someone, not even from the Philippines, but having someone from Asia, to me, I already feel like 100%, like, I feel more at home. It's just like, because I've been used to that.
Yeah.
And it's just that little, the little hint of like, okay, I'll be fine here because there's people who've gone through what I've been going through. There's
Yeah.
people here, we're always open to talk, It's not easy, being away from home or like feeling homesick or, unfortunately, having bad experiences with some people, we're always open here to talk, and we're always open to help out in any way, shape, or form.
It's nice to hear, really.
Yeah.
It's
It is.
reassuring.
Yeah, and I don't know if you found this, but I found that as soon as you find somebody who's got like the same interests as you, or like people on your course, particularly musical theatre, it doesn't really matter where you
Yeah.
come from, who you are, what you
Yeah.
look like. It's all mutual interest. And
Yeah.
we're all here to do the same thing,
Yeah.
to get a really expensive piece of paper.
Exactly.
And have the best 3 years of your life.
Yeah.
And have the
that.
best.
Yes.
Sorry, 6 years in my
6
case.
years
Oh.
for you, whatever.
Yeah.
Show off.
Just double the normal amount of time and come out with 2 expensive pieces of
Yes.
paper. I don't need to brag, but it is what it is. So, what key thing would you like listeners to take away from this episode and learn about people of colour?
Ooh. Well, I think main thing is don't be afraid to ask questions. I think is again, as I reiterate from earlier.
Yeah.
I know it again might feel taboo to be just like, I really want to ask, but I don't know if it ask.
Yeah.
You know, we can tell you if maybe don't, you know, if it crosses the line, we'll tell you.
Yeah.
We'll be honest and we'll be upfront with you, you know. We all want to learn about everyone. You know, I'm still learning things about British culture too, and I don't afraid to, you know, ask people being like, do you really do this way? Or what should I say?
Yeah.
Same way to us,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like at the end of the day.
Did you have like any kind of big shocks about British culture? Just interested to know really more than anything.
I think one of them was Watershed.
Oh,
Finding out that, because I grew up with a lot of American television.
Oh, yes.
So like I didn't really like I had a couple, you know, once I got to my teenage years, but I grew up on American television, so it's like swearing's a no go, nudity is a no go. So opening my telly past 9 is a bit interesting. I'm like, oh sure, this is legal.
Welcome to Britain.
Yeah, I'm just like, you know what? I'm here for it. Be free. Do what you
I
want.
know, TV shows like Naked Attraction must be quite...
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily go for that one,
No.
but scrolling through that is an interesting time.
Flicking
Shock,
past it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I've never thought the watershed's a weird thing because I've always just obviously grown up with it. But yeah, I can imagine that was oh god, yeah, like an actual shock. As
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Riley, this is your
Awesome.
big moment.
My big moment.
How can
So-
listeners join the conversation or contact the uni?
So if you want to know more information, you can follow us on Instagram at University of Chichester, follow us on Twitter at ChiUni, or you can email studyhere at chi.ac.uk if you've got any questions. And on Twitter we use the hashtag ChiUni. And should I mention TikTok? Yeah, we also have a TikTok, which is, I believe, just ChiUni. So follow us and get involved, and yeah.
The TikTok's hilarious.
The TikTok's
Yeah.
very, very
brilliant.
funny. It's very
Brilliant
good.
quality.
So it's the end of the episode. Thank you so much, Misha, and
Thank
thanks
you.
Jack, even though he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you, Jack. And thank you, Riley.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Amazing co-host. So thank you very much for listening, everybody. Bye bye.